Now, is it fine for everyone? Yeah.
Yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm Henriette. I'm lead marketing and sustainability at Palo IT, and I will be the one moderating this discussion today. So we organized this event because we want to share a project we have been working on lately that can scale sustainable farming practices around the world. Because yes, as you may know, sustainable farming practices are not mainstream yet. The numbers show that 1/3 of the world's fruit and vegetable crops will be lost due to climate change. And as we have a growing worldwide population, how can we meet this growing food demand? It's a real question we wanted to answer through this project. Because on the other hand, we have smallholder farmers in emerging countries that are the main lever to solve this environmental and social challenge and issue. As according to the Food Alimentation Organization, they produce more than 70% of the food consumed across the world. Did you know that? I didn't when we started the whole city project with XAPA. However, agricultural populations in emerging countries are often come from rural and even remote areas, and they do not take advantage of global value chains. So at XAPA and Palo IT, we believe we need new and more innovative production models and also relationships, and the relationship part is very important, and we will talk about it with you later, to build a more sustainable and responsible world. XAPA is a consulting firm. Let me present XAPA first. They are a mission-driven company that intend to leverage low-tech digitalization in order to support small agribusiness players around the world in their professional and economic transformation, reducing tremendous environmental impact. At XAPA, they also want to create a relationship between producers and companies and big corporations. And that's why they created the SUTI program that Atim will present later. And Palo IT, we are a global innovation consultancy and innovative agile software development company. We are dedicated to helping companies embrace tech as a force for good. And we are an international community of innovators, designers, and technologists. Our design and tech teams work closely with XAPA on the SUTI program and on developing the SUTI mobile app. And that's why Jordan, our designer here, that worked on the SUTI application and design thing, will talk about it with you later. Jordan is a designer, and the co-design process we put in place with XAPA is very interesting and is key to unlock the kind of project. So we will deep dive the design processes we put in place on the SUTI program here today. So now let's do a round table, and I will start with you, Atim. Can you present yourself and share your experience on this topic?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Very happy to be here today. So my name is Atim Issoufali. I am in charge of the design, the implementation, and the follow-up of all our activity on the field. So coordinating the partners among them, and of course assessing the daily implementation and measuring the impact also of our project. So my background is agroeconomist, and I used to work with smallholder farmers, because here and today we are talking and focusing on smallholder farmers, like farmers who have usually the definition is less than 2 hectares, and they are considered like self-sufficient farming system, and also selling a little bit of their additional products. So My responsibility at XAPA and in the SUTI program is really to design this project. And today the design is not only due to one organization, but in our approach, it's really a co-design approach that we have in our approach. Maybe Christian, you want to introduce yourself after that?
Sure. Thank you, Hatim.
Thank you,
So my name is Christian Chateauvieux, and I work with Hatim at XAPA, where I'm responsible for the suite of digital tools that we build to support the SUTI initiatives that we'll be describing in a very short while, and tools that are aimed at speeding up and scaling the deployment of these SUTI initiatives around the globe. These tools address our SUTI program participants, but also the local implementation partners who assist us on the ground, and we will hear from them later on. And of course, the industrial groups that sponsor these initiatives and that want to follow some key indicators pertaining to the program and its actual impact. So a few words about myself. I have an information technology background initially. I hold a computer science engineering degree, and I would probably qualify myself as an IT architect, although I had several technical management and partner relationship development roles in my 20-year career in the software industry. And in the past years, I have decided to also specialize into sustainability and corporate social responsibility management. And so for this reason, I crossed the path of XAPA, and I also have another hat at XAPA, which is the one of a sustainability consultant. And really, I'm really excited to be here today to talk about the journey we've been through in the past couple of years and to share details of an initiative that I hope will bring a tremendous positive impact to vulnerable populations in developing countries. Who shall I pass the ball, Henriette?
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Hatim. Maybe Cypri, can you tell us more about yourself?
Okay, thank you so much and for having me here. And hello, everyone. My name is Cypri Dale. I'm here to represent Sun Spirit for Justice and Peace, a small NGO in Indonesia with headquarters in now in Labuan Bajo in Flores, in eastern part of Indonesia. So it is really a small community-based organization working, doing research, but also get involved in finding solutions for the farmers we have, for the problems we have with the community. And started last year, we get involved in the initiation of a new initiative for smallholder rubber farmers in Sumatra, and aiming to work with the farmer champions, the community leaders, to find solution for the problems suffered by these producers of global commodities in terms of increasing the productivity of their plantations, but also to get a fair price, as we know that rubber is one of the main commodity of Indonesia, but it is really a paradoxical fact that farmers still live in the very difficult situation. We see that these problems should be addressed in the multi-sectors. It's economic for sure, but it's also social and political, and it requires involvement of many actors. So as an NGO, we get involved in this very difficult issue and trying to play the significant role as much as possible in our current position. Looking forward to our conversation this afternoon.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Cipri. And I heard that you were in contact with Jordan during the application development process. Jordan, can you tell me more about yourself, and then we will deep dive into the co-design of Suti. You're on mute, I think.
Yep, sorry. So hi everyone, I'm Jordan, service design and UX designer from Palo IT, as Henriette explained just a few minutes ago. So I've been working closely with SAPA on this city project. And I was in charge of the experience of our users. So all these small orders, farmers in Indonesia. So I've been working closely also with Cipri to get all I needed to co-create and co-construct the product we were developing.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, everyone. It's important to mention that there are plenty of different expertise involved on this project, and we see that we have the NGO on the field, we have the sustainability consultant, we have the economist and agronomic experts, and we have the UX design expert. So it's important to mention that you need plenty of different expertise to go on this type of project. Now, Atim, can you tell me more about Suti, and can you explain to us the program and how you designed it at XAPA?
Yes, yes. So maybe first, of course, there are lots of words that maybe people might not know yet. That are Suti or app or the application and all that. So first of all, let me just put some background information on that. So we just observe during the 20 past years and even more that most of the rural development projects that are developed and deployed in emerging countries and usually by international institution or organization tends to consider the farmers, smaller the farmer, more like recipient of an external support rather than participant or active stakeholder. As a result, the activities and the trainings are usually designed without their participation. I mean, direct participation. You can have some tools that some organizations are using today, like PRA, participatory rural approach, but concretely asking the farmers their feedback about this content or this activity is very, very rare. As a consequence, the project, they have a little nor zero impact on the long run. And why the situation is like that is because usually the farmers, the smaller the farmers, that are so important, as you say, Henriette, in the introduction, because they are the ones who produce the food today. They are remote, they are uneducated, they are very hard to access them. So taking account of their perspective or their idea or their inputs is usually long and difficult, because you also need to reach them, you need their trust and confidence, and it's usually something that that is time consuming a lot, and that's why it's really challenging. However, we consider at XAPA that having farmers from the beginning of the design process and other stakeholder, of course, is really a key to have a full ownership and then a full commitment on the project, even though, I mean, in addition, if the project is 2, 3, 4 years duration. So what we are doing at XAPA is that we have three different features in our approach. The first one is that our approach is farmer-centric. So we will develop content, activities that will directly benefit to the farmer. That is obvious, but it's not so much obvious. And we are usually in this kind of project, like you can see in this slide, we are working with all the stakeholders of a supply chain. We are working on a supply chain basis. And we are not working only with farmers or only with the industrial or with NGO only. We try really to involve all the stakeholders. So after this this farmer-centric approach, we are also scanning all the different constraints and leverage we can have all along the supply chain, from the production until the processing, the final stage of the product. So that's why, and of course, we want today to have impact, and so we want to go to scale. So designing an impactful project is one duty, and the second one is how to deploy it on a very large scale. That's why SUTI is entering in the game. SUTI stands for Scale Up Technical Training Initiative. That is a tool, an app that Christian will explain you later on, that provides training, online training, and curriculum to learn the good agricultural practices for several type of commodities. Here we are talking about rubber. And then this app has, of course, the capacity to be very low tech and then to be deployed at a very minimal cost to many farmers. So you may have lots of technical questions about how handy it is for a farmer. Do you need to know how to read or to write? All this will be answered by Christian. But what I'm saying today is that through SUTI, we are creating and we are changing the relationship between the different stakeholders within one supply chain. And we really think that having all the stakeholders involved in the co-design of the project, that means the activities, the training content, the time frame, the ramp up of the deployment, is major to be really impactful. Maybe Henriette, you can. Indeed, just to sum up, we can say that the farmers, of course, we are working with them. You can see that they are on the bottom right side of the slide, and they are the main target of our action. But to reach and to have an impact to farmer, we need to mobilize a kind of ecosystem that is composed of, as I told you, so Palo IT is there because they are supporting the SUTI initiative to design the application on, let's say, on the hardware part. But we have also, at the beginning of the project, industrial buyers or investors. In the case of our project in Jambi, it's Michelin and Porsche who are funding the project in order to improve the sourcing, quality and quantity that their local industrial partner, that is called Kirana here on the bottom left side, will receive from the smallholder farmer. So the idea today is SUTI and XAPA are at the center of this whole ecosystem, coordinating and creating the co-design, let's say, mechanism in order that all the participants have exactly the same level of information and also have the same vision of this project. So clearly identify the impact for the farmers, clearly identify the impact for the investors, and also the impact for the local industrial partner. This is very important, but usually in the project, you don't have let's say, ideal situation. So as a matter of fact, XAPA appears like a convener, a conductor of the whole initiative, coordinating the technical, the financial partners, but also the local industrial partner, which will purchase the product from the farmers. So there are lots of interaction, and we need to make sure that these interactions are genuine and also always in the mind of the people when the project is implemented. So this is, let's say, theoretical co-design. So practically, how do we do? What are the ingredients or what are the tools to create this co-design process among all these different and diverse type of organization? So the most important, of course, is to to talk and to speak the same language. And this is XAPA duty, is to be able to take the information from one and to transfer it, but also process it in order to make it understandable. Usually NGOs have their own dialect, I would say. Their acronym is the same for the business. And usually these two different worlds, the private sector and the civil society sector, are not really in line and are not talking the same language. And we need to make them work together and then talk together. So being between these two structures enable us to really make the best of it, play a role of translation, but also of, I would say, facilitator, in order to really identify what are the main levers, what are the main challenges that the farmer or the industrial are facing, in order to prioritize them and really tackle them, I would say, one by one. And along this translation work, in order to have the same level of information, we need also to make lots of bilateral and multilateral meetings to be sure that the level of information and the quality and what we are saying about the different activity, the achievement, and the different stages of the project are really well understood by everyone at the same time, I would say. And of course, when you have this kind of coalition, a very diverse type of coalition, everyone has his own interest to be in the project. You would say that the NGO, of course, they want to increase the income of the farmers. They want to participate to the alleviation of the country or the district of the region where they are working, but they also want to maintain their activity. Whereas the farmers, of course, they are only, I would say only, but their main concern is about their livelihood, their resilience, the diversification of their income, but also to be sure that if they produce something, they will be able to sell it to someone at a, let's say, reasonable price. And if you look at the industrial side, the industrial partner usually is only interested about quantity he can get every year, like, let's say, increasing the quantity they can source. The quality also is more and more something that industrial partners are taking care of. But we can see that the perspective of each of the member of the coalition is different. So we need to blend them, and we need also to find win-win solution to be sure that if we improve the quality on one side, we need to be sure that the one who will purchase it will value this improvement of the quality. So we also use our app to facilitate and to make this co-design also easier. So that's also a way where everyone can get the same level of information through the app, but also the same level of information on the impact with dashboard, with data that are open source, and something database that our clients can check whenever they want. So the transparency is also in both ways. So the level of information is always the same. I would say that in this co-design process, we also need to make people working out of their zone of comfort. Because an NGO working with an organization such as Palo IT, who is working on the implementation of a solution, technical solution, is totally different of the partner or the organization an NGO is used to work with. So you have to go out your zone of comfort, and this is usually what is difficult in co-design. But maybe I think I have said yes after this slide. I think it's okay.
Yes.
So the point is just to sum up that actually we are working with a diverse ecosystem of organization, and maintaining the same vision and the same direction required a daily effort, actually.
Thank you, Atim, for sharing with us the SUTI program in all this its complexity and its intensity, because it's very qualitative initiative that you are bringing together thanks at XAPA. So congratulations on this, and thank you for your expertise on this. Christian, on your side, as a product owner of the SUTI app, can you how did you interact with Palo IT, and how did the whole IT project go on for SUTI?
Yes, thanks. Yes, very good question. Before I answer this one, just I would like just to continue on what Hatim said, and talk a little bit more about the digital tools that we have developed, and then I will tell what role Palo IT played in this. As Hatim explained, we want to leverage digital tools in order to accelerate the deployments and to scale the SUTI initiatives across the globe. We've been talking here about this particular example of natural rubber in Indonesia, but our core idea is to be able to replicate such initiatives on various different commodities and in different regions in the world. So essentially, we've created a methodology, I would say, and a product to allow us to replicate this very easily. So we've created, with the help of Palo IT, and I'll touch upon that just in a little while, we've created a set of digital tools that will essentially allow our program participants, so in this case, the farmers, to access training contents via an e-learning tool, but also provide regular insights on the actual impact on how the capacity building actually brings impact in their life and work conditions. So we send them regular surveys that they answer, and this is of utmost importance for us, because we want to make sure that whatever we do actually makes an impact, and if not, why these best practices are not adopted. We also have a module in this participant app that allow the farmers to record in the digital world the details about their crop sales transactions that they typically do today in the informal economy. And that will also help large industrial groups to better understand their sourcing of raw materials in value chains that are very fragmented, and in which they don't mandatorily have a direct contact with these farmers. So this is one aspect of this suite. We've also developed an operational management system to assist our local program implementation partners, so SunSpirit in this case, to manage the day-to-day activities of the project, which is about enrolling farmers into the program and granting them an access in the app. But then also organize the trainings, that is, for instance, creating farmer groups and cohorts, etc., and deal with the anomaly or the day-to-day activities pertaining to this. And finally, we have a third suite of tool, which is the reporting dashboard, and that is really aimed for our client sponsors, the industrial groups who sponsor these initiatives, and this is more of a business intelligence type of system through which they can monitor the progress and the actual impact of the program. So all of these tools we've created with the help of Palo IT, and we turned that into a product. So how did it all start? In fact, we were seeking for a long-term IT partner, not just an IT services supplier. And we were seeking for a partner that would share our vision of sustainability and our vision of leveraging technology for making impact quickly and at scale. We were also looking for a player with experience of working with fragmented, underserved populations such as farmers in emerging countries and in rural areas. And Palo IT not only shared our vision, not only had some track record in delivering tech for good projects with these types of populations, but we were also pleased to find that Palo IT designers, architects, developers were also very conscious of the challenges ahead of us, and they provided great support to do three things: to co-design the solution, to implement it, and to test it out in the real world. So first, on the co-design, we really co-designed the IT solution with the help of Palo to respond to our needs and to have a solution that can really adapt to many different contexts of use. And in this particular case, I would say the crispy details are around the fact that we are facing non-digitally savvy users, sometimes illiterate users, poorly connected to the internet, equipped with old IT gear, with very small screens, maybe not touch screens, etc. So this is maybe not so typical, I would say, for Western-based IT development projects. And concretely, Palo IT helped us around the IT design of the solution and then the interface design. The second task that we've done with Palo was to actually implement the solution. And very importantly, by taking sustainability considerations into account, even sometimes adopting low-tech approaches for this project. So we worked with Palo IT around developing software, but also around integrating existing market tools in our architecture where development was not really relevant or required. And third and lastly, Palo IT helped us test early prototypes of the solution and assisted us in running a user test remotely at the other side of the globe, with, of course, the assistance of Cypri, who's been involved into creating the link, the trust, and translate with the actual future users. And I'm sure Jordan will tell a little bit more about that later on. So I would say, to conclude, we found that it's not always common to see actors in the IT industry who truly embrace sustainability and who train their personnel on design for impact, on IT for green, coding practices, etc. And this was for us of utmost importance because we are very attentive as a mission-driven company and as a sustainable business, not to create adverse social and environmental effects if we use technologies to support our initiatives than if we were not using IT at all. So I must say that with my IT background, perhaps I've been a bit of an unusual product manager because I could really deep dive into some of the architectural choices and implementation details. And I was very attentive and carefully examined the implementation details. For instance, we had a lot of discussions about how the application can minimize the battery consumption, because this is important in this context, how we can minimize the network traffic that is being generated, because for the populations we're targeting, this is also key. And we really wanted to ensure that we would not create any inequality or disadvantaged participants who, for a big part, live under the poverty line. So yeah, that was a great work. And again, thank you for all that. I think Jordan, perhaps you want to talk a little bit about some of the findings we done in these UI design and user testing phases.
Yep, sorry. Yes, I can talk a bit about the place I had in this project. And as a UX designer, generally speaking, I'm in charge, as I said in my presentation, of the user experience. And my role is to ensure that that we meet their needs and make their daily life easier. Sorry. But in this specific project, we had to adapt all patterns and methods. I'm sorry. To go deeper in low-tech and user research, as we are no longer designing a solution for people who are used to technology, as you said just before, Christian, but for women and men who do not have access to internet as easily as we do, and who live especially peacefully without it. So we had to find a way to introduce this in their lives. So many questions popped in at this times. So how can we make them want to use our applications every day? Or how can we make them to use their phone in the fields or the application in the fields when they work? Because as we said, again, no access to internet, probably dirty hands, small phones, not every time a touchable phone, or probably phones that are not strong enough to support an application. So we had to take globally all this inputs to find a way to give them the participant app we wanted to. And the highlight moment was of the co-creation was the first user test. You introduced it a bit, Christian, just before, but you can imagine how difficult it was to organize such a test. As you said, Christian, it was on a different part of the world. And what we needed, first of all, we needed a diverse panel of users, including men and women of different ages, from different locations. And it's easy to identify that needs from a Paris office, but very complicated to implement this in Indonesia, in the middle of nowhere. So the first difficulty was that our users was scattered in different cities, even different countries, and in areas with limited access and communication networks. So really complicated to get in touch with them. And the second difficulty is that our users speak Indonesian or Indonesian dialects. So which again reduce our accessibility to them. So working alone in France, we could never have achieved this fit, but with our partnerships between our three organizations, which is XAPA, as explained before, product owner, expert in accessibility with its global visions of the project and its challenges, who could explain how, what, why, all the global vision of the project, and really contextualize the solutions. And in the other hand, Sunspirit, the local NGO, that will speak a bit further on, who could act as a translator, which was really important for us, but also, and above all, as a trusted reference for small orders, which is essential for them and for us to express deep needs and real sincere feelings. If they do not have this particular relation with the NGO, we couldn't have such great feedbacks. So we have been able to have a global coverage, I would say, of international actions remotely by video conferences in France for us, for Christian and I, for example. And and also in physical, in person there in Indonesia with some spirits, and with in particular Cipri, that's going to talk later on. And it's with the cooperation of all of us and our desire for deep co-creation, that's the main point of all this subject, that we're able to carry out a remote user test. And we did it hand in hand within different countries, so which is remarkable. And without the three of us working hand in hand at this point in time, we would not have been able to get such great feedback and detail on how to further develop our product. And as just one point, I remind one thing is that on the Western side of the world, we are really used now of pictograms, like a little personage or little image that can make us think of what it is, even if we don't read things. And what we discover is that for them, it's not that easy to understand all these pictograms, and that we had to probably make all the application listenable. So touch on images or text or pictograms, and then listen what it is in every language. So that's why really a remarkable moment to understand that what we used to, they're not used to, even though we thought that's easily and a pictogram really easy to understand or whatever. So yeah, that was really interesting moment to carry on that user test all together.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for this very interesting anecdote that really tells us about the project itself. Now let's see the key role Send Spirit for Justice and Peace and New Cipri played in the field to make sure SUTI works. Cipri, can you explain to us your daily work with farmers and the impact Send Spirit has locally?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, for us, this SUTI digital solution is an experimental work to solve long enduring problems suffered by smallholder producers of the all well-known global commodities in the global commodity chains, like rubber or coffee or all these global commodities. And specifically in rubber, we identified three underlying issues. So first is that while the products such as rubber provides raw materials for lucrative industries, farmers get minimum or even no support in terms of capacity building in cultivation. So they rely on the traditional ways of doing cultivation, while knowledge has already improved. So the first problem is that access to knowledge, which is not available. Secondly, while the price is of the global commodities are usually high in global market, the farmers get very minimum benefit out of this because of the one of the problems is that non-transparency of the price, so access to fair price. Thirdly, while the government and companies tend to invest very low in these two issues, there are actually nowadays possible solutions provided by the internet revolution. Everyone has access to the digital solution. So we see within these three contexts, we see this SUTI as possible solution to address these issues in terms of access to knowledge, access to fair price, and digital solution where everyone actually across the world have access to internet. And it requires involvement of many actors, but also a way of working that it is a bit adaptable to the possible digital solutions. So we see Sutti as potentially a solution for this. That's why we decided to get involved in this and play this role. And our role specifically in this, like I said, it is still very new. That's why we call it experimental, because there is possible success in it, but also possible failure that needs further improvement. Our role is first we conduct a diagnosis study to find out the relevant problems need to be addressed, and then we propose what kind of solutions that can be done. Secondly, we provide inputs for the content, so we get involved in the content design. So we are not really familiar with the app itself, but we get involved in proposing contents. And thirdly, we also help the organization of user experience tests, so with the farmers in different stages of the development of the app. And also we get involved in translating the content, so not only to the local language, but also to transform that the content should be understood in different contexts, and in this case the farmers with different age, with different ethnicity, different access to technology, etc. So in short, we see hope in this kind of work, and to really it might be a digital solution to the problems we have, but it is kind of democratization of knowledge where farmers have direct access, and it should be really cheap, because they can use it by using phone, and also we believe that through digital solution everyone should have rights to the knowledge. In that sense, they can really improve the skills by direct access to the knowledge provided on internet. Secondly, also the free information, like the farmers can know the price, and then and also the global buyers can also directly know what are the price received by the farmers in the real sense. In that sense, I think the idea of sustainability, fairness in the global community can be achieved. It is still a long way to go, but we see some hopes in this kind of work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cipri. Just the pictures that you sent to us before. Sorry.
Yeah, so the pictures are actually taken from this particular rubber project in Indonesia. Here you can see, I think, one of the first farmer groups that was trained on these new or better agricultural practice through face-to-face sessions, and with the help of also the digital tool, who becomes a companion to the farmers. When they return to the farm, they have access to all of the content. They can re-visualize and reinforce their learning back in the farm, and then the NGO comes regularly back at them to gather feedback and understand how things are going, and we also capture information from the farmers directly pertaining to their work and life conditions. This helps us understand whether we're making an impact or not. So as Cipri said, these are early days, and time will tell if we actually reach these impacts we're aiming for. We're very confident that we've done the right things in terms of design. Now it's the execution part. So I hope that in a year or two we can gather again to actually give some numbers on the improvements that have been met. At least I'm crossing my fingers.
Thanks, Christian. Thanks for the wrapping up. It's true that this co-design project was a first success, but we wish you many more to come, because you were able. I think that it was a success because of three ingredients that you all said during this session. The first one is that you were able to put yourselves into someone else's shoes. And to understand the population. The second one, said by Atim earlier, is that you are able to get out of your comfort zone and to understand the lifestyle. It's the third one, the lifestyles of smallholder farmers in rural areas in Indonesia. So I have to say that Suti is made to scale up sustainable farming practices. So it was a first round in Indonesia, as you said before, Christian. But feel free to reach out to Palo or to XAPA in case of Suti interest, or if you want as a cooperation to help these populations. And in case reach out to Palo if you. In case of UX design or impact design interest. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now and unmute your mic. We will be glad to answer your questions. So we are listening to you guys. Thank you.
Hello, good day everyone. Thank you so much for sharing, which is through our insight, and it was very inspiring in terms of positive case study to make a positive impact to the society. Right, so just a quick introduction of myself. I actually joined Palo IT Singapore team 3 days ago. So I actually came across this webinar, and that's why I wanted to find out more in terms of positive initiative we are doing from a company perspective. So just curious, right? If I'm not mistaken, this particular initiative is more like a ground-up initiative, if I'm not mistaken. So to what extent that this particular project in terms of Suti actually, gather or garner some form of recognition from government, Indonesian government perspective? So I'm not sure whether this has been touched on.
It's a good point. Hatim, do you want to elaborate on this?
Yeah, of course I can. Okay, thank you very much for this question. So indeed, you before starting the design of the project, of course, we need to see as the scale, and we are envisaging to start in one point, working with one factory, with one partner. But the idea, if this initiative is working very well, is to replicate all over the country in the area where there are some rubber farmers. And of course, if you want to scale up, you need additional resources, and we hope that the government will participate, will acknowledge first the impact of the project, and of course, will support that to expand and deploy in other regions. At the beginning of the project, we made sure that this project was not going against, I would say, some of the advices that the government is providing for this specific commodity. For instance, we checked with the Rubber Institute. We, of course, there are lots of organizations, scientific organizations like C4, like ICRAF, who worked a lot on rubber plantation. We were in touch with them, and especially the experts, to see what has been done so far in order not to reinvent the wheel. And then to, of course, we already had some content available because rubber industry is a very long-lasting industry. And we add some, let's say, content that are specifically to the digital application. However, we make sure that all the practices that we are promoting through the app are not going against some recommendation. I can give you a very simple example. In the government, I would say, advice about tapping, they say that you should tap the tree D4 and D2. That means every 2 days, every 4 days, not to tap every day and not to, let's say, exhaust the tree too much. So according to the expertise gathered by Michelin during many decades on the rubber, we are compiling and we are making the best option between the recommendation from the government and the recommendation from the expert in order to find a good compromise. Of course, we are not promoting any product or any things that are going against the national regulation for sure, but we are a little bit more ambitious in the inputs. We try to shift all the chemical inputs with organic or homemade inputs to make the farmer more resilient. But regarding your specific point, we are checking all the recommendation from the government on this specific commodity before starting any design process.
Yeah, I would say, Atim, however, that we don't wait for a government to come to us and say, okay, let's do something. We typically start with the corporate, the corporates that have also an interest to do good in their supply chain. For instance, Michelin and Porsche are heavy natural rubber consumers, and they are facing strategic risks when it comes to securing access to the raw material, because we have an aging farmers population, because the young don't want to work in farms and they want to go into the cities, because the prices have been fluctuating so that they have changed their activities to something more profitable and they have left their plantations behind, etc. So we're trying, as you can see, to combine the interest also of these groups, create some traction, and of course the next phase is that as we want to scale up, playing with the support of governments is going to be key for sure. As a matter of fact, we are discussing in other regions with corporates as well as government entities to actually kickstart the projects, some projects with already a bigger scale. But we're not waiting for governments. We're actually maybe starting with corporates, with the private sector to start with.
Yeah, thanks so much for the insight sharing again. Appreciate our team and Christian.
And welcome on board at Palo. Second day.
Thank you.
Do we have other questions? I don't think. I think it's the end of the session since it's already been 1 hour.
Yes, we're 1 minute past the hour.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And
thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Feel free to reach out if you have any other question coming.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ramadan.